Welcome, everyone. This is Pineleaf Noodles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Harry Edwin.
Hi.
Harry Endis.
Hey, everybody.
And Maven.
Hey, y'all.
And this week is Mordor Week.
Yay! Mordor
Week.
I sound way too excited to be going into Mordor. Can I just point that out?
Even Buddha's excited.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, he's actually ticked off because I've locked him in the bathroom. I think I'll go rescue him.
He wants to go to Mordor too.
I know. Well, he's very excited about Mordor. Yeah.
Travel beyond the Black Gate. Yeah.
Right.
So from the release notes, travel beyond the Black Gate, seek treasure and conquest, and discover what happens when the free people enter a land of evil and corruption. Can I just say that seeking treasure in a place that's been overrun with evil and corruption for like time immemorial seems like a really bad idea.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
This is not going to end well.
But people have been doing it for thousands of years in the real world.
This is true.
So, yeah, it is very plausible of there being people stupid enough to do this.
Like, you get in there and you're reading quest text and it's like, this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well.
It really isn't going to end well.
It's really not going to end well. I think there's one guy that I've talked to so far that we're actually like kind of okay with helping him with this quest. I don't remember what the quest was, but it didn't have anything to do with seeking treasure.
Well, there's one who was looking to redeem the memories of his ancestors who were the guardians inside Mordor before the guard fell.
That guy. Sorry, I was in allergy fog during when I was doing it finally got to do it on Thursday, so I was not paying as close attention as I would have liked to. So I'm looking forward to going through it again with more characters because it was really cool.
Oh yeah, I went through that yesterday with Sans Winda. So
yeah, Mordor. We have 5 new areas, which incidentally, if you look at the map of Mordor, this is like maybe a quarter of all of Mordor because Mordor is huge. Mordor is actually bigger than just what we have so far on landscape.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. This is the industrial heart of Mordor, I guess, or something like that.
You've got the forges and stuff in Udun. You've got
Right.
the rocky plain that's got Barad-dûr, which is Dora Marth.
Right.
Again, reading from patch notes. Teleth Uruwi, located south of Mount Doom, home to key fortresses, prisons, and military establishments. That sounds like a cheerful place to be.
Yeah.
You have Lingris, west of the Morgai Ridge, home to Cirith Ungol. Also sounds like a fun place to go visit.
And Sans Winda.
Except for Sans Winda. Agarnath, a valley southeast of Barad-dûr with a dense, pestilent, and bloody swampland. Also,
Whoopee.
like 10 of 10 would not recommend. I heard one player say that basically Mordor makes Angmar look like a summer vacation spot.
Yeah.
As it should.
Yeah, that's kind of an accurate description. Yeah. And of course, we've got Chance Thomas music again, which is also
it's awesome.
It's so
my
fitting.
gosh.
Oh.
Yeah, it really is.
Yes, and I have finally broken because for years when I've done recordings, I have had this rule of not using music while I record videos.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, I never had the music on for Lord of the Rings Online. And I just decided, all right, it was time to just lay that one to rest. I think it was because one time YouTube pinged one of my videos from Skyrim for the music being in the background or something like that. But since the people at Standing Stones aren't as on that matter, I decided to chance again and revise, and this time do my videos in August and hopefully forward with music. At least, hopefully, I won't get complaints from YouTube on the matter.
The music is so good. It really is.
Yeah. But I'm also able to catch up on some of the music from the previous regions, which I haven't heard.
Yeah. So also with Update 21, we've got the new avatars. They've updated the avatars for the humans and elves. High elves just have one avatar. They didn't do old avatars for high elves, so you don't have an option for those.
Right.
They added a new crafting tier. Yay. Bunch of new deeds. You've got the allegiance stuff. The area of the Valar thing is pretty cool. Levels you instantly to 105, dumps you in the wastes, which is fun. You get a full set of armor, full set of weapons, class-appropriate weapons. So you get full set of class-appropriate armor, full set of class-appropriate weapons, including 3 allies. You get 3 unidentified legendary item boxes, so you can kind of pick which allies you want, which is nice. And you get the Steed of the Citadel. And the War Steed cosmetics for Steed of the Citadel, which they hadn't actually talked about, comes in Aria of the Valar. You get 12 virtue points.
Which is more than I have on most of my characters.
Me too, actually. So my burglar actually has better traits than most of my other characters. It's just sad. Because I know Gift of the Valar, when you go up to 50, is only like 4. So
it's
level
95.
Yeah, so it's Blessing of the Valar.
95, I thought they would have brought to 6 or 8 or
no,
something.
it's 4. And then, so yeah, you get 12, which is really nice. And then you get 3 piles of gold scraps, which sells for like 5 gold, 400 silver.
That's
And something else that I'm forgetting. I opened it yesterday, so I don't actually remember what was in it.
It was yesterday. It was a long time ago.
It was yesterday. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't remember everything that was in it either, because there was a little bit of a fiasco related to the aria, but
Yes.
but
Which
my
has been
case,
sorted.
yeah, which has been sorted out. But since I was really worried about the possibility of forgetting to log on to,
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, since I was worried about that, what I decided to do is I logged on to Evendim onto the character I wanted the aria on. And of course, it didn't get delivered, because of the problems they had. And I decided to use the workaround. I said, look, let's face it. I am sure I am close to running out of wardrobe space with at least one of my characters. So I bought an extra set of wardrobe space, and that kicked it in. That was the workaround, because if you bought an extra set of wardrobe space or shared storage, it would deliver the aria immediately.
Any sort of account-wide purchase is what I heard.
Any sort of account-wide purchase. Yeah, I think that's how it worked. But that was the account-wide purchase, which that would be most useful in that case.
You can never have too much wardrobe space, really.
Yeah, so therefore, if it is something that you would think would eventually come in handy, it's fine doing that. Obviously, doing it just for that would be a bit much. But as I said, I was worried about forgetting on the day of the patch that I had to go into Evernight and then get that one, because otherwise, if I had forgotten and logged into Gladden first, boom.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Right. So therefore, I just wanted to leave that out. I would say for most people, it probably been best just to wait for the thing to be fixed, unless you really wanted to get that character up there immediately. Now, what class? I heard that you took a burglar up there that for well-dressed?
No. Well-dressed is a champion.
Oh, well-dressed is a champ. Oh, okay.
No, last week or the week before, I think I made a burglar who is actually she's Sarissa's younger sister,
Ah, okay.
who is now past her level wise, but that's fine. That just means she's better at being a burglar, except not really, because I'll talk about that later. But yeah, I rolled a new burglar that I took, so she went from level 7 to level 105, which was a lot of fun. No, I actually decided not to use my Aria on my high elf. I'm only making one.
All right, and that's for the Bolshoi.
That's for the Bolshoi Theater kinship. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that was one of the other things that came in with. I'm still going down the list of what came in with Update 21.
Ah, yes.
We were talking about Aria the Valar. Legendary items. The imbued legendary item level cap has been increased, so we now have additional 10 levels for legacies. Yay. I guess some monster AI behavior has been improved. I didn't realize it was broken, but okay.
Oh, where was that at? Let's see.
It just says some monster AI behavior has been improved. Doesn't get specifics.
It's possible is because they had to tweak some, because some of the stuff that they had, some adjustments they did to the landscape had broken some instances, so they had to adjust the AI in order to do it. So maybe they did it. Hopefully it was an overall improvement of the AI that would have helped other things also, but Gardening was broken for a while.
PvMP, they've got monster players up to level 115. Creep ratings and skills have been increased to an equivalent level to 115. Freak crits are not going to be abnormally penalized in the Entmoors, and creeps apparently can now train and slot a set of finesse corruptions to help counter creep avoidances. So I'm sure there's been plenty of talk about how OP creeps now are, because that's usually what happens. A bunch of stuff going on in quests and adventure areas. There was a whole long list of quests because of allowing the introduction of high elves to the game. For versioning purposes, if you had any of these quests underway, which is why you should check the patch notes, because it's a big long list. I'm not going to read them all. But if you had them underway, you're just going to have to start them all over again. And it includes like several bingo boffin things, the crafting stuff, a lot of intro things.
A lot of things that refer to your race, probably.
Probably. That would be my guess, yeah.
And several epic things throughout all 4 volumes.
Yeah, several things in all 4 volumes of the epic story. In traits, this was something I found interesting. The racial traits that were granting will, might, or fate, depending on which race you were, they now actually grant it, I guess, based on your level rather than a fixed amount. So it's like going to be a scaling thing. So that should be really interesting to see how that works.
Right. At level 105, it's plus 100.
Huh.
And I know that because we were looking at that on Ending Stream earlier today.
Okay. And then, of course, the virtue traits have gone up to level 20. They have a new thing in the advanced graphics tab for the UI, which is supposed to allow rendering to happen better. Updated music and character generation. Who else has noticed updated music in the character selection screen?
Yeah, I noticed that.
I did.
In fact, I did a video on it during the preview. One of my preview videos was about the updated music.
I actually did notice that it changed. It still has some of the same themes that were in the old one, but you don't have like those loud, blaring bugle notes from Rohan right off the bat. That was the biggest one that I noticed.
Yeah, and then, some people complained about the lack of the bugling at the beginning of the thing.
I actually really like it. I like that it's a little bit more mellow.
Yeah, it is a character selection screen, not a mid-combat.
Yeah, it's a little bit more somber and mellow, and it's fitting to what we know where the epic story is going. And then there's a list at the bottom of some known issues, which presumably they will fix at some point.
Hopefully. Now, the one thing that you missed, or at least I don't recall you talking about, were the audio journals.
Oh, yeah, because I was going to go back to those.
Oh, okay.
This is really cool, actually, because we were talking about this on Thursday. So these audio journals are something that you pick up in Mordor. You basically collect a bunch of pages, it's the lost lore of Gorgoroth. So as you get each of the page, you hear an audio snippet that reads the text out loud. And if you collect all of the pages, it rewards you with an assembled volume, which is basically a housing item that when you put it in your house and then you use it, it plays the whole thing.
And I got one, so I can tell you that it works and it's awesome.
It's awesome, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I love the fact that you could now move stuff in your house, because now it's just a book is all it is. It's a piece of furniture, but it's a book. So I was able to put it onto a table of elf books.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then you double click on it and it plays it plays it like literally like when I moved into another room, it got hushed and I had to move back into the room.
Neat.
If I turned my head, it only came in one ear. If I had to turn my head back, and it came in straight. Yeah, I mean, they really
cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to the next one, Marth or what it is, because that's like I've heard a couple of the pages, and it's like really like whoa.
Now
cool stuff.
The inspiration for this has to have been from DDO, because they do have a number of occasions where DDO has been doing this for years. And in fact, one of the most famous ones were the audio commentaries for the Temple of Elemental Evil, where they had these globes all over the place in the temple that when you interacted with them, it would give an audio commentary by Will Wheaton talking about his history with Dungeons & Dragons.
Oh my goodness. That's what they should do. They should have taken some of the audio tapes of the Professor Tolkien and made him into. That would have been easy.
Well, there would have been copyright issues.
I know. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah. Oh, by easy you meant.
Yeah, not easy.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Now I understand. Yes.
Yeah, Christopher would have said, "Sure, go ahead, no problem."
I am having a lot of fun looking for pages for the book, though.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I love finding one.
All right. Any other comments concerning the release of Mordor?
I will say that I'm really enamored of the stories. I mean, they've really woven some really cool stories. They're new. They're like new stories with new protagonists and antagonists, but it's all consistent with both with Lord of the Rings and also with LOTRO. What's gone before in LOTRO.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give too much away, but like today, I got in far enough into one of the storylines. I'm like, well, dang. A whole nother group of baddies to fight, that I hadn't really expected. And it's a combination kind of previous LOTRO stories and also of Lord of the Rings stories. And I'm really blown away by. And we also, I didn't put this in my. I guess we could talk about it now, Chair, if you want. Girls of Middle Earth last Sunday. We had technical issues and we couldn't stream, but we ended up going to Cirith Ungol, and that was amazing.
It was really cool.
Oh my gosh. So, and it was early days. There really weren't any. We just went there, so we didn't pick up any quests. But the quests in there have got to be pretty amazing. So, yeah, I'm really blown away, and it's a little bit like playing a new game. I mean, all this new stuff in terms of, like you were talking about, the stats and the light stuff, and they really pared down the essence stuff. Thank you, but I just think it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Now, on a flip side, I will say that some of my friends who are more gamers than lore hounds are a little bit annoyed because of the number of what they call sort of hidden quests, quests you don't know that you've got until you've got them kind of thing, or you have to go to a certain place to really get the quest. You don't really have an arrow pointing you to it, or, a couple of them have, said that they felt like the sequencing of the quests were kind of confusing. But my feeling was every time any of them have said that to me, it's like, well, I feel like that every area I go into, because I'm such a newbie player. It's like, I'm always feeling like that. So it didn't really bother me. Today, one of the things that I thought of is it kind of reminds me, Mordor and the stories that they're creating reminds me a little bit of Rohan in the sense of, there was only a little bit of lore, and then they really built out like the stories of each region and each town, and you got to really know the people, and it has kind of that feel to it. So if Rohan and Angmar had a baby, it would be Mordor.
I'm sure that's exactly what they were going for, man.
I'm sure when they were pitching it, in the conference room, it's like Mordor and Angmar, Mordor and Rohan Angmar and Rohan together. That's it. Just picture that. Anyway, but you know what I mean. In terms of the story development, so it's pretty cool. I'm sure I'll have more to say in future weeks, but so far so good.
Yeah.
Now let's head into the beacon. And in the beacon this week, our weekly comment is, what is the first item you try to get on each character you make?
What's the first item you get on each character you make?
What's the first item you try to get?
Oh, try to get.
The first thing that you actively seek out and try to get.
For me, it's some sort of... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mine's not actually really an item. The first thing I do on new characters is I load my saved UI and make sure I have the bigger dressing room so that it's stuff drops. And nobody listening to this is at all surprised by this. So that when stuff drops, I can preview it in the big full screen.
Yeah, that will.
Arindis, what were you gonna say?
Sorry, I was just gonna say for me, it's because I don't use a special UI, I just like to put all of my my inventory space into one large one. I know there's a UI thing for that, but I just haven't gotten into that yet. So I put all of my inventory space from 5 or 6 bags into one, and then I just try to make sure that, I have a decent outfit on for new characters. So anyway.
Yeah, in fact, that's the first thing I do. The first thing I do is to set my UI, which does incidentally load a bigger dressing room, but I get the impression that it doesn't actually activate until you log off and log back on.
Right, you have to log off and log back in.
Because what happened is I was trying to show my UI in a video I was recording today, and I was still in the High Elf intro. I says, I guess I have to log off and log back on because I still got the original dressing room up.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So, yeah, because when you log into a High Elf, you're dumped into the intro and all that stuff.
Right. Which you can't pause.
Right, well, you really can't pause in the matter. So maybe I could have thought of loading the UI, logging out, logging back in, and going and doing it at the start. That would have been one way to do it. Because that would have had me start all over again, but at least I got the UI I wanted.
I usually forget until I'm halfway through doing something and then something drops and I want to preview it and it's like, oh yeah, I can't do that yet.
Yeah. So that's the first thing I do. Is that the second thing I do is to sort out my bag space. Then I open up the cosmetic things and put on the cosmetic item I want because a lot of the characters, yes, the opening stuff I just don't like the look of.
Yeah, I do that. I do the bag things like one of the very first bag thing and rearranging my UI two things I do first. I usually do that like I was doing that during my high elf intro today while some of the NPCs were blabbing on. And but the first thing I actually go for, it's not like a quest item or anything. I actually head to the Mithril Trader, and I pick up the level 1 of whatever if it's agility or will or might, depending on my character. I get the number 1 because I never seem to get the number 1 out. I get everything else, and I never have number 1. So I get that because it's kind of a pain in the butt to go back to that trader, later on down the line. So I've kind of gotten in the habit of doing that. And then, and then like you said, the bag. I make one big bag instead of 6 little ones.
Yeah, I do that too.
It was really funny, back in the day. It's like, oh, there's a plugin called Huge Bag. Oh, I could do that. And then for some reason, I don't know why I couldn't get it to work, or I don't know if the developer maybe stopped developing it. And finally one day, it's like, wait a minute, I don't need to get Huge Bag. I just make them all one. I just put everything into one big bag, and I have that. I don't need a plugin.
I kind of sort of wish that would save in your UI settings.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Because it's really it's just another annoyance.
It's just tedious to go through all of them and put
not quite as bad as leveling up your LI at 105, but
all right.
And there's few things as tedious as leveling a new LI.
Oh.
Now, in the community spotlight, they posted a tweet where the players on the LOTRO stream sent Standing Stone Games what exactly that is? I guess it's a tapestry of some sort.
It's a tapestry that Druid's Fire made.
Yeah, Druid's Fire made, and it's a wonderful piece showing the 2 trees and stars with all of the members of the LOTRO stream.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was really cool.
That's really impressive.
Yes. And to make a note that the Department of Hobbit Security successfully got their Hobbit to Isengard.
Yay.
Yes. Sound of the Movies recently talked to Chance Thomas in an interview and talking about making music for LOTRO and more. And Crick Hollow will be hosting a chicken run to Minas Tirith on August 19th.
Awesome.
Now, we all know that. Now, this certainly won't be the first chicken run to Minas Tirith because I heard a rumor that Corey Olsen was in one of those things.
He was. It was on Landreval. Yes, it was actually a promise he made during a fundraiser that if we got to whatever level we were going for. And of course, and it didn't take us long to get to that level, given that the promise was that Corey would run as a chicken. It took longer than some people take to go because he sort of stopped and then he had to walk up all the steps of Edoras as a chicken. Of Medusel to the door.
I remember this.
Remember that? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But it was fun. He had a good time. It was great. And then actually we got joined by Moose, by one of the devs at one point. The saddest thing though, there was a guy who made his alt into a chicken and waited for us in Eregion at like the first stop in Eregion, and then ran with us from Eregion. And when we got to Minas Tirith and we ran up to the prow and jumped off, he hit the statue of whichever brother that is, Isildur or Anarion, and didn't get credit and didn't get the title. Isn't that sad? That's so sad. I hope he wrote and got it because we had evidence.
Air did a chicken run before they put in the title.
I know, and he never got the title,
and has not retroactively been
in fact
awarded the title.
I feel like I shouldn't even mention chicken runs to Minas Tirith to Erisert, because it just brings up bad memories. He kind of sighs every time I talk about it, which I don't blame him. But he is kind of contemplating a run to Mordor, and I said, well, to Mount Doom. Corey is totally up to running to Mount Doom, and apparently the devs had told Druid's Fire that they're coming up with a way that chickens can get into Mordor. So they haven't done it yet, but they're working on it.
All right. Now, speaking of chickens to Mordor, The screenshot
Oh yeah,
of the week
great segue. Yeah.
shows several chickens get heading up towards the Towers of Teeth, towards the Gate of Mortar, so you can see the Gate of Mortar up ahead.
That's a great shot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's probably about as close as they're going to get before they get fried.
Literally.
You know, Maven, that Corey could run a chicken to Mordor and he'll actually see the Black Gate as a chicken again before he gets to run an actual character.
Oh my god! Oh my god! But now we should tell Standing Stones what should be the title. You know, I'm kind of torn between fried chicken and hot wings. I think hot wings.
I think Sam was saying that it should be Wing Bearer.
Wing Bearer, even better, because you get Lord of the
Oh.
Wings. You get Lord of the Wings when you fly off of Minas Tirith, and Wing Bearer totally should be a new one. I love it. I love it.
Wonderful. Let us head into our store sales for this week. And what's on sale for this first week of Mordor Madness?
Well, this week's free sample is a plus 5% attack damage times 1 with the coupon code MOREHURT, MORHURT, which just makes me giggle. And then 30% off a bunch of stuff I don't care about. Crafting guild access, ingredient packs, crafting accelerators, rapid craft, and crafting tiers and recipe books. So, crafting stuff. Yay. Also, for anybody who's interested, it's Hobnanigans Weekend again.
Yay!
It's even more excitement.
One of the
in
other
your
things
voice
I
there.
don't care about.
Okay, well, let's head into our site news, and we'll begin with LOTRO Academy 144. Wow, that's a gross episode. And
Oh.
Wah, wah, wah.
Oh, that one hurts.
yes,
Finally just made a joke. Finally made a joke.
and that was Epic Story Volume 2, Part 1. So our beginning of the review of the Epic storyline.
Yeah, so we basically finished Epic Volume 1 and went straight into Epic Volume 2. Which is lots of chatting about Moria, so...
Yeah. Lots of chatting about Moria and dwarves and
dwarves.
stuff like that. And then on Family Line, Part 146, once more to Aberdeen. And I'm wondering...
Are we still thinking he's wrapping up the story?
Well, I have to admit that I was more wrapped up in playing in Mordor that I completely forgot even to check that there was an update. So last week I was thinking that they were still heading that way. So, okay, he's back down. So they're in Dunland now. So it looks like he's still wrapping up, going back to where he was at the beginning. But there's always the possibility he gets home and says, "Oh, now you need to do this."
That's true. That's true.
So right now he seems to be revisiting all the people he visited on the way out. So I would, and since they're going back to Aberdeen here, I would presume that's the same thing going on here. But yes, there can always be a twist when they get back to Rohan, and they are very, very close to getting to Rohan. I'm just wondering, is he trying to wrap it up for 150, or is that when he plans to have the real knife twist that's going to say, "Aha, quote you there"? But I have a feeling, my current hypothesis is that he is going to wrap it up at 150, but I think he set the seeds for a sequel.
Ah, okay.
And I think that's the most likely event at the moment. But we shall see. I have a feeling that in about a month's time, we're going to find out what the case is. And the Rangers of the West on the Gladden server held a special event, and that was the Walk to Mordor, where we had
Walk
quite
into Mordor.
Yeah, to walk in. The idea was to walk from the camp of the Rangers on the Slag Hills, and to walk from there into the gates of Mordor, up to the location where you meet a certain set of quest givers in beyond the gate. The intro quest, where you have the intro quest to say into Mordor. So going from there to the quest giver that's inside there.
This looks like quite the little festive parade
Yeah, it is.
when it finally gets going.
When it finally gets going, yes.
As with any big event, there's always some organizational issues.
Well, in this case, there was the point that you started having split layers. So anyone who arrived at a certain point had to be brought into a raid and then pulled over so that we got everybody into the same layer.
Wow,
And-
you had enough people that it was layers. That's cool.
Yeah, I think someone said there might have been 100 or something like this. I don't know, but it was certainly a good number.
It does look like a lot of people.
Yes, and one of the things I had on it is I had not realized that they added these new bridges to give a route where you could go to the gate without going through that.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, and so I didn't know about that. So I've been jumping all over the place on all this, not knowing that these bridges are there. And it wasn't until today when I was with Anding where I learned that there was also such a bridge that brought you from that stone to where Aragorn is. I said, okay,
Right.
it's nice to know about that.
Straight shot, yeah.
Yeah, because I've always been taking all these circuitous routes and swimming in the day spa and all that fun stuff. So, yes, so that's great. But anyway, of course, they decided they were walking in there and they were not going to get their feet wet on it, so they threw the route around. And I was looking out, trying to think of heading south, and then of course they're all going north because or some other direction because that's where the bridge was going.
Yeah, well, it's a Hobbit-friendly route, so you don't get your feet dirty.
Yes,
right.
that was very nice and considerate of the leader of that in order to choose a Hobbit-friendly route. And I decided to do that as if it were a news story.
I saw there was a...
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
Pine Leafy news.
Yes, so hopefully in the future there will be some other events where I could have more things from the Needles News Network.
Needles News Network.
Yes.
I like it.
N cubed.
And well then, do we have a new player question?
Sorry, just making sure I'm not muted. There we go. No, not this week. I'm sorry, I dropped the ball this week.
No worries.
You mean you're not wondering what all this stuff about Mordor is all about and all that stuff?
I mean, I am, but I can't ask any questions without spoilers, so I'll just leave it for maybe another time.
All right then. Then let's head into our week in LOTRO. And Maven, what were you up to?
Oh my goodness. Overachiever Glordriel, I'm telling you. She's level 113.
113?
I know, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Weren't you 107 last night?
No, I think I was 110 last night.
Oh, that's right. You're 110 last. Yes, because
Yeah.
we ran into you at one point. I think
It was
during,
Finor was 107, the guy that I was
okay.
showing around. Yeah, when we ran into you, literally. Sure
yeah.
thing. Yeah, and she's let's see, celebrated with the rep faction. She's already made herself a shadow essence in their crafting. She's gotten relics from the rep guys and put on her weapons, and have cashed in a whole bunch of ashes of Gorgoroth to get all kinds of different armor. And this is a hunter. Her morale is up to 48k at this point. Just
Gracious.
yeah, I mean, it's like not even trying to do that. I just am like, whoa. But I think to myself, well, if they're doing that, I guess it's needed. And actually, we didn't just go to Kirith Ungol last week. I forgot to tell you this, but we did hit the swampy area. Literally hit the swampy area. We actually jump down a cliff to get into the swampy area. And I could see kind of why you'd want to have morale. I mean, those guys were toughies, I thought. Didn't you think?
Oh yeah.
Terry? And we actually found a cave where you go in. And we didn't actually finish. We actually called it at that point, but it was kind of going on forever, and there were lots of nasties in there. So I could kind of see why we're having to, kind of get ourselves really armored up for this stuff. I also, like I said, got my book of Udun, which was really cool. And I finally got to my house and put my door in. Yay. My Mordor door. What else? I finished Udun, almost finished Daramarth, although there's some really interesting stories, just super interesting stories. Oh, and I got my allegiance. Oh, and Pineleaf knows this because I was complaining about it on the field trip yesterday. So I did the elf allegiance because Glordale's an elf. Makes sense to me. She would do the elf allegiance. And one of the first things you do is a session play, and I failed it twice, and I was getting really frustrated because I didn't know why I was failing it. It's one of those deals where you do it. It doesn't say defend a person, or there's not like a condition of, but I failed. And I'm like, I don't understand why I failed. So finally I went back in today and I did it. I did it. I was like, okay. Thank heavens. Anyway, so I did that, and I don't know what else is next. I don't know if it kicks in another quest at a particular level or whatever. I mean, I came out, turned my stuff in, and I haven't really heard anything from anybody about it. But it's really interesting. I'm going to be really interesting to hear what the other Allegiance stories are, because I don't want to say anything about it right at the moment. But I think, again, I think they've done a really amazing job. So anyway, so that was the first thing. Second thing is Maven, the lore master, got to Mordor in company with Sans and Terry. So it was really fun. We got to do it together, and it's, I got to listen to Sans and Terry squee, which was awesome. And with allies, both Glordale and Maven's allies are all topped off, which was really tedious. And then I started my soon-to-be whooshed up High Elf Minstrel. He's going to get whooshed to 105. But I didn't remember that one cannot leave the intro in the middle. Actually, what happened was, in the High Elf, you make a transition at some point. So you're kind of in one spot, and then you make a transition to another spot. And when I made that transition, my screen was blank. It was black. It was like it never came out of like the like this shift mode, except that I had my mini map and I could hear the music. So it was like, well, I think I'm supposed to be at that other place, but I couldn't figure out a way to get the picture. So I thought, well, I'll just go out and come back later. When I came back later, I was at the very beginning again. Yeah. So I haven't taken him back in again, but his name is, what's his name? Oh gosh. Oh, I forgot. It's like Tin Fang Warble reminds me of. It's like Tin Fin, yeah, it's like Tin Finarn or Tin Finfarn or something like that. I mean, golly, I think I took more time hitting the randomizer on the name than I did on my whole cosmetic thing. And then, of course, it doesn't guarantee that you find a name; it may already be taken, even in the randomizer. So, oh my gosh, it was. And I Tin Finfarn. I think. Anyway, yeah, it's something fun. I mean, I had to come up with something that could be like kind of uniquely made into a nickname. So I figure his name's going to be Tinfin. It'll be Tinfin. So anyway, so that was
what
me.
What class are you?
This one is a minstrel, and then on my other account, I also got the ultimate package, and that one is going to become a champion for the Bolshoi.
Yeah,
Bolshoi ballet.
The reason why I was wondering is because if the name makes you think of Tin Fang Warble, it would have to be a minstrel, I would think.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. I was tempted to try it. I actually did try. You'll love this, Pineless. I did try Bladorthan, and instead of saying that name is taken, it said this name is being used elsewhere. I'm like, is it really? That's interesting. I'd like to find out where it's being used. So I should have tried Tin Fang Warble. I'm sure it wouldn't have worked. But anyway,
yeah.
So Tin Fin Farn or whatever. I forget it. I'll have to remember what it is. But I think it's like Tin Fin Farn or something like that. And I thought, oh shoot, I should have done Tin Fin Arfin or something like that. But it was too late. Anyhow, so that was the sad story of my High Elf Mister, who has to now go through the intro all over again. Arendis, how about you?
Well, due to real life, I was actually not able to play anything at all this week. So the only thing that I've done is halfway download the update. So we've still got about 6,000 files to go. That's what I've done this week. Terry, what did you do this week?
Well, I also got kicked in the face by real life, but I did manage to make time to play. So Lange of Alteri Adwin has finished Epic Volume 4, and yes, as Maven said, basically Sans and I were like losing our minds because it's so awesome. We spent pretty much half of the time just squealing because it's just that good.
It is really cool.
So good. Yeah, so much. Oh my God, this is awesome. Yeah. Lots of that. There were some screenshots taken.
Many it's like Sans kept saying, "Wait, I'm taking a picture. Wait, I'm taking a picture." It's like definitely. I said, they ought to have like scenic lookouts in Mordor. Like they do on scenic highways.
And if anybody has any doubts about whether or not they should do this part of the Epic Volume, let me tell you that your reward for doing this is you get the emote Strength of Sauron, which puts
wonderful
emote over your head.
Now, I should note that this is for completing the entire
all
volume.
Of Volume 4.
You can't.
All of Volume 4 is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there was a single part of Volume 4 that I didn't like.
Wow.
Well, there are a couple of
you actually get the emote just for finishing all of.
Yeah, it's your reward for completing the deed of Volume 4.
But yeah, it was awesome to have a quest ring over your head. And not only a quest ring, an epic quest ring.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the flaming ring. You can turn yourself into the epic quest giver, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So of course I did that, and I had almost like a reflex to want to click on myself.
Yeah. Well, there was actually the first time I used that emote. I saw someone come to me, and I was wondering if they thought that.
You should have an emote ready, some kind of an emote like mock or something like that, when they click on you.
It's a rude emote.
You would know when they're clicking. Rude emote, yeah.
Yeah.
Although mock would also work. Yeah, it's pretty entertaining because at one point all three of us were standing in a row with the flaming quest ring.
Yeah, with it.
So I'm fairly sure that you will see some screenshots of that at some point. The other thing that I did was mentioned in passing my level 7 baby Berg went to level 105. And then she promptly... Now, when you use the area of the Valar to get to level 105, it drops you right at the waist. And she took a look around and she said, yeah, nope. And went back to Bree to start to learn how to become a productive burglar before actually taking that journey. Because, first of all, she needed a last name because the Berg that I made is Sarissa's younger sister. Sarissa's last name is Reeve, so I had to go set the last name correctly. And then I went around and picked up all the burglar quests, so she's doing those slowly but surely. And I don't know, maybe in a couple of weeks she'll be ready for Mordor. And then Gumsking in the chat is saying, go to a starter area and pretend to be an NPC. That would be a good way to spend about an hour, actually.
Oh, that is cruel.
That's cruel, but that would be a lot of fun. Maybe next Girls.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And then I deleted the placeholder. Remember I said I had made a placeholder for Well Dressed? And so now that Mordor is out, I deleted the placeholder and made him properly as a High Elf champion. So I now have Well Dressed, the High Elf champion. And that is hilarious because watching the name Well Dressed show up in the quest text, it just makes me giggle every time. And he's not high enough yet to have his last name because, of course, his last name is going to be Killing Machine so that he can run around Middle-earth as Well Dressed Killing Machine. Because I think it's funny. And I think he's also got to be level 15 to start a kinship. I think. So that's on my to-do list, but I didn't have time to do all of that this week. That's the little bit that I was able to get done. So, Pineleaf, what have you been up to?
All right, I'll begin on Crick Hollow, where I was playing quite a bit of my War Knight told you the bit about the completing the epic and having someone look like they might have been going toward me. I can't be 100% sure what they did. I think they figured it out pretty quickly, though, because a few moments later I saw them appear with the ring over their head. So they're obviously picked up on that pretty quickly in that case. So I finished the Volume 4 and then headed on into Mordor, and I think I'm about halfway through Udon, and I haven't quite done anything on the Black Book with that character yet, but I'd say about halfway through Udon, and I've reached 107. So therefore, that is slowly getting up there. Certainly not going as fast as Glordriel is getting through there. Probably because I am splitting myself out on different characters. Except played through several characters since Mordor came out. For example, on Landravul, Sans and I, after the field trip on Arkenstone, we decided to trek out and we did the early parts of Mordor. We actually got through the first 2 parts of Chapter 1 on there. So we did the first 2 parts on that. The one I guess I'm trying to avoid. We helped 2 people of 4. I'll just put it that way. I think that's about
I think that's vague enough.
Yeah, I think that's vague enough. So therefore we did that. So essentially, and we also did several quests in the early parts of Mordor, of course, while we were going on to that and killing. And we ran into Glordriel at some point, which even though I would have thought that she would have been much higher, but it looks like she was showing somebody else some of the stuff. And it actually came in handy on occasion, but there are some people who are going.
Yeah, I was being a tour guide.
Yeah, there are some people who will go in there, pick up a lot of mobs, and they seem to like to dump them on top of our group.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so that was getting annoying, especially when we had to fight the same signature boss, I think, about 6 times before we got out to there.
Oh, see, one should not just dump enemies in Mordor. You should stick around and help with the fight.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then I finished my Pineleaf and Gondor series. This is a series that I started with the release of, on the day they released the Paths of the Dead. And I started the series then, went all the way through each of the zones in Mordor one by one. I decided to count the epic story part of Update 21 as part of the Gondor series. So I ran 2 episodes going through there. I'm going to start a new series called Pineleaf in Mordor, which will cover the rest of Update 21 because, we've got a whole new world coming up ahead, and I'm not exactly sure whether or not I'm going to survive too well on that, so I'm probably going to have to be a little careful on what I do while going through there.
It'll be fine.
Well, we'll see, because I noticed that my virtues on my Laurelin version of Pineleaf are about 1/3 of my virtues on my Crick Hollow version.
It'll be fine.
Famous last words. We will see. Okay, we'll see when I report on the early parts of that particular thing. Now let's go into news beyond LOTRO, where adventures in Middle Earth.
Sorry. I just wanted to back up for a second because I forgot to mention. I had sort of kind of committed to the fact that I was doing Mordor Old School, as in I was turning off red dots and the quest guide on the map and all of that other fun stuff. And I did actually do that. I've turned off, so I don't have red dots. I don't have quest arrows pointing me different places. I do have quest rings on the radar. But yeah, most of my stuff is filtered off. So I am actually keeping my promise to do Mordor Old School.
Ooh. Okay. On
Landravul Terry. That's the only character I'm doing it on. Of course, she's also the only character in Mordor right now, but details. All right, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I remember that when I say my Fish by Gondor series in the show notes I put down. Fish by Gondor series with a little jewelry malfunction. Yes. We'll head out into news beyond LOTRO. Adventures in Middle Earth. Ease of Mirkwood and Lore Masters Screen.
How awesome is this? This is an adventure, by the way, for the tabletop role-playing game and the Lore Master screen, so the GM screen, basically, which is really, really cool.
Not well decorated.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be well decorated. It's Mirkwood. Come on.
It's Mirkwood. Well, not exactly the most scenic route in Middle Earth, but it's certainly a very scary place to go. And I'm sure that Sans saying Mirkwood to her makes her jump 5 feet high.
Just because it's got spiders.
Yeah. Okay. We currently have 22 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be a guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send a one, you can send it to podcast@LOTROplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, LOTRO Players @LOTRO Players, Ariendes @Ariendes, Maven @Tolkien Maven, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, Sanswinda @Sanswinda, and Terry Adwin @Terry Adwin. The Players Alliance has 4 live shows every Monday at 8:30 p.m. USC time. We have DDO Players News on the first and third Fridays at 11:59 p.m. USC time. We have XP Quest on the last Friday of each month at 8:30 p.m. USC time. We have LOTRO Academy After School, and every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. USC time, we have LOTRO Players News. Join us for our live shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight, and this is Pineleaf Mules reminding you to skirmish responsibly.